It was a quiet summer afternoon in rural Arkansas when 25-year-old Sydney Sutherland set out for a jog, something she did often, something that should have been completely safe. A registered nurse, Sydney was known for her compassion, her vibrant smile, and her deep love for her family. But on August 19, 2020, Sydney never returned home. That day would set off a heartbreaking chain of events that would devastate a community and uncover the horrifying truth about a man they thought they knew. It started with a jog. A peaceful afternoon, a young woman out for a run on a quiet country road. But within hours, that ordinary moment turned into every family's worst nightmare. She vanished. No trace, no goodbye. Just silence. What followed would shake a small Arkansas town to its core and reveal the terrifying truth behind a face that once blended in. Sydney Sutherland was more than just a nurse. She was the kind of person everyone seemed to love. She lived in Jackson County, Arkansas, in a tight-knit rural area where neighbors were like family. Sydney's days were spent caring for patients, spending time with her loved ones, and living a quiet, meaningful life. She had dreams, plans, and a heart full of hope. To those who knew her best, Sydney was a bright light. She had recently bought a home and was in a relationship. Her social media showed someone full of life, posting selfies with her dog, sharing sweet moments with her boyfriend, and celebrating milestones with friends. She wasn't just jogging that day. She was living, dreaming, planning for her future. August 19, 2020, started like any other day. It was hot, the kind of sticky southern summer heat that seemed to hang in the air. Sydney, like usual, went out for her run. She was last seen around 2:30 p.m., jogging along Highway 18, a familiar rural road just outside Newport, Arkansas. When she didn't come home that evening, her family grew worried. Calls went unanswered. Messages remained unread. Panic set in. This wasn't like Sydney. Almost immediately, the community came together. Friends, family, neighbors, and even strangers joined the search. Hundreds of people combed the fields, ditches, and gravel roads of Jackson County. Helicopters flew overhead. Dogs were brought in. Her disappearance made headlines across the state. But it wasn't long before hope turned to heartbreak. On August 21st, just 2 days after she vanished, investigators made a grim discovery. Sydney's body was found buried in a field off County Road 41, not far from where she had last been seen. She had suffered multiple blunt force injuries. Her death was ruled a homicide. The peaceful farmland that Sydney had run through so many times had now become a crime scene. Authorities quickly zeroed in on a suspect, 28-year-old Quake Llewellyn. A local farmer and a former classmate of Sydney's, Llewellyn came from a well-known agricultural family. From the outside, he looked like an ordinary rural man. Hard-working, quiet, part of a respected farming family. But as the investigation unfolded, a darker side of Llewellyn emerged. Cell phone records placed him in the exact area Sydney disappeared. He had been driving his pickup truck along County Road 41 that same afternoon. Surveillance video and GPS data confirmed his location. Eventually, Llewellyn confessed. He told investigators that he saw Sydney jogging, turned his truck around, and ran her over. He claimed it was accidental at first, but what happened next was far from an accident. According to court documents and Llewellyn's own statements, after hitting Sydney with his truck, he loaded her into the vehicle, drove to a remote field, raped her, and then buried her body. The brutality of the crime shook even seasoned law enforcement. It was a calculated, violent act. He later returned to the scene and tried to cover his tracks, but by then the evidence was overwhelming. DNA, location data, witness statements, it all pointed directly to him. Perhaps most chillingly, during the search for Sydney, Llewellyn joined the efforts. He pretended to care. He acted like he was helping, when in reality, he knew exactly what had happened. Initially, Llewellyn pleaded not guilty to charges of capital murder, rape, kidnapping, and abuse of a corpse. His attorneys requested a mental evaluation, but doctors determined that he was competent to stand trial. He understood what he had done, he understood the charges, and he could assist in his defense. For a time, prosecutors considered seeking the death penalty. But in October 2021, in a shocking courtroom moment, Quake Llewellyn changed his plea. He stood before a judge and pleaded guilty to the rape and murder of Sydney Sutherland. In exchange for the plea, he avoided the death penalty and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He will spend the rest of his life behind bars. During the sentencing, Sydney's mother, Maggie Sutherland, delivered a powerful and emotional victim impact statement. She looked Quake Llewellyn in the eye and asked him the question that haunts her. Why couldn't you just pass her? She told the court, "What you took from us 408 days ago, we'll never get back." Maggie's strength and grace moved everyone in that courtroom. Her words echoed not only a mother's pain but also the resilience of a family determined to honor Sydney's memory. The sheriff later said, "We're proud to bring some semblance of justice for the family. If you saw that victim impact statement, we all witnessed true strength in person today." Sydney's death left a scar on the heart of her community, but it also ignited a movement. One rooted in awareness, safety, and the enduring power of love. Her family created a scholarship in her name for aspiring nurses. Friends and strangers alike shared stories, photos, and memories online, turning grief into action. In rural towns like Newport, Arkansas, where people often leave their doors unlocked and wave at passing cars, the tragedy was a cruel wake-up call. It reminded everyone that even in the safest places, danger can hide in plain sight. But more than anything, it reminded people of Sydney, of who she was, and of the light she brought into the world. Sydney Sutherland should be here today. She should be laughing with friends, working at the hospital, and planning her future. Instead, her life was cut short by someone she knew, someone her community knew. Quake Llewellyn is behind bars, but justice can never truly make up for what he stole. What we can do, what we must do, is remember Sydney, speak her name, tell her story, and make sure that her light continues to shine, even in the darkest places. If this story touched you, please consider liking this video, sharing it with others, and subscribing to True Crime Tales for more stories that matter. Your support helps keep these voices alive and these stories remembered.